Okay, so I'm gonna throw a little bit more paint down, and I'm gonna try another tool. And so the next one I think I'm gonna do is this card. It's got all these different edges in it. So I'm just gonna scrape that. And I might as well scrape some of that off on the paper because that'll add a little bit different undercolor when I scrape through that a little bit later. Okay, and of course it's got different sizes, so I could do different things in different places. And you could just do a whole page like that if you wanted to with different, with the card and just doing different kinds of lines. Okay, throw down a little bit more here. And as you can see, like where I had the other stuff, it's dry and it's starting to show through. So like I said, that's one of the things that's very cool about this, is that you can layer all these different colors and it doesn't take too long to dry. Okay, so next I'm going to try one of these foam stamps. So I'm just going to smush it down in the wet, lift it off, and it pulls it away. And I can press it down someplace else, so I'm repeating that pattern. Do that right here, and you see how the other color is showing through. So as I said, this is all about layers. So basically right now I'm just kind of getting down my first layers. Another tool that I could use, of course this one you can use a couple different ways also. I could take my brush and I'm just going to dab, not real hard because I don't want to tear up the brush, but I want to get down in between those holes. And then I can lift off, and I'm going to have all those polka dots, but now I've got all this paint on this side, so I can also flip it over. I'm going to press down and lift up, and now I've got a positive and a negative. Okay? Of course, that I'll have to scrub with the scrub brush in a little bit to clean it up. Alright, and I've also got, so I'm going to go with this really cool stamp right here. I'm going to want a little bit of wet paint again. Just find a spot. I'll lift it off, put it down somewhere else. Okay, and now I'm going to switch colors. I'm just going to switch to a different color here, and looking for a drier area to start kind of working so that I can start the layering. If the colors mix right on the paper, doesn't matter. You might want to keep in mind your color wheel, just because if you put two colors that are opposite on the color wheel next to, or put two colors that are opposite together, you're going to get some pretty ugly, funky colors. If they're farther apart, they'll look a little nicer. I want to keep digging through that. Okay, go back and do a little more over here. See, that shows through really nice because that's a little bit drier now. If it's wet and it blends, no big deal. And maybe here I'll just kind of draw around the shapes that I've already got started. Or maybe try and replicate some of the texture or design I've already done and let it really show through. I can even use my paper towel to kind of lift and stamp stuff as well. Kind of gives it sort of a icy look. And that's pretty much what you're doing. You're just going to keep building up these different colors and different layers until you end up with really cool paper. You want to go all the way to the edges. On that, I would recommend grabbing a little piece of scrap paper off the big roll of white paper. Put that down so that you can go right off the edge and not worry about having to clean it up. If you get it on the table, you got to clean it up. Okay? For cleanup, I'm going to head right over this way, take all my tools. Okay. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to rinse in the bucket. Okay, you want to put as little paint and paste and things like that down the sink because it'll back it up. So just rinse that off. This little half sponge is great for cleaning stuff. Get some of the worst of it off before it goes down the sink. Okay, that one's already. That one's pretty clean. Okay, so probably one of the best tools, you've got this little brush, especially when you've got the stamps, you want to get down in all those little crevices. Rinse until it's clean. This one, same thing, you want to get down in all those little holes and get all that stuff out of there. This one, I take the sponge too, get it cleaned off all the way around. And then finally your brush, you want to rinse it off really good. Make sure you get all the paint off the handle, out of the bristles until it's rinsed and it looks pretty clean. Soap, move it around. So even though it looked clean, see how my soap is turning purple? It wasn't very clean. So I'm gonna rinse that out. I'm gonna do it again. A little more soap, rinse it around. Back and forth until that soap looks pretty clean, or clean. And rinse it out. And then this will go either bristle side up or laid back down in its container. Tools here, make sure you rinse out your sponge, dry it, set it back up there. Make sure your tool is cleaned off, goes right back here. You can use this brush as well, just make sure that the bristles are up. All these tools, shake them off a little bit, throw them back in their drawer where they belong. Oh, I forgot one. So back over here. This one, sponge, or just use your fingers. Get everything off of there. Rinse everything out. Back in the drawer. Actually, that one goes up top. And that's it.